Okay, so for this demonstration, the first step is going to be drawing some holes, or what would appear eventually to be holes, on our paper. These could be a variety of shapes, sizes, with varying depths between them. Then what we're going to start doing is creating extra layers inside of these presumable holes. So these could be wiry, these could be large and circular, they could extend from hole to hole. The ultimate goal here is to create the illusion of depth. So what we're going to be doing is layering up all of these parts, all these elements, and eventually adding color and value to create the illusion of depth within the space. Take your time, play around, make something that looks interesting, try out different types of lines, marks, holes, shapes, and just make an interesting design overall. The next step is you are going to be opening up your oil pastel set. From here, you want to decide on a color scheme. For this one, I went kind of from a yellow, orange, red, so an analogous, and then kind of kept dropping down. So what's going to happen is we're going to create the lightest value and the lightest colors, and add those to the top layers of our holes, or of these elements that are kind of branching through our holes. And we're going to use the oil pastels. You can see here I'm doing very kind of like quick marks to allow the oil pastel material to build up, but also to kind of blend. So here I'm blending my yellow in with my orange and adding a little bit of white on the inside to create that illusion of a light source hitting it. Another thing we can do is once we get to these lower layers is start adding some drop shadows from those above layers. Here I started with slightly darker yellow in the first layer up top, and then started going in quickly with my orange and my burnt umber colors, and then kind of blending those in, maybe putting a little bit of highlight in the center. And I'm going to keep doing this. So I kind of take the darkest color from the last layer and put that as the center of my next layer, and then build in more color, more value, and blend. You can see here, I'm not blending with my hands. I'm just simply using mark making, little strokes with the oil pastel material. Actually, for one recommendation I might have is to work a little bit larger. So this is on about like a computer-sized piece of paper, about 8.5 by 11. And so my marks are very tiny. However, it might be interesting to go a very large hole, or maybe several large holes, just to allow yourself to make longer strokes with the oil pastels. At times it does become difficult to kind of cut in those little shapes and little designs and create marks that really fill that easily. You're also going to get a little bit of buildup from the oil pastels, and so that you can either wipe off gently with your hand or use just kind of blow it off your paper or brush it off. Here, my last layer, my like bottom depth layer, where we start kind of losing visibility, I started going in with a red and a green to kind of neutralize, and then I ended up going in with some black to kind of pull out some outlines of the layers and shapes. So really any color scheme could work. You could go all monochromatic, we could go split complementary, we could go complementary, we could go warm, we could go cool, and again, like anything would work, but we definitely want to go from the lightest to the darkest. So the top layers should be the lightest colors, lightest values, and then we can use mark making, whether it's going straight to blend or even rounding out on some of our layers or shapes for our little branches and layers, to create form. We want these things to potentially look three-dimensional. So here I am going in kind of my last step, once again with some darker colors, reds, blues, building those up, and then finally and eventually going over with black. Turning your oil pastel to the sides to kind of get some straighter, cleaner lines, and kind of finalizing. And the upper layer, which is kind of where I'm going with white, that could be a color scheme or a top color. For me, what I ended up doing was going with white and just kind of blending out my black.